Do you imagine you are free to choose or set conditions? And who said you would become a member of the Bilderberg Group? Do you have any idea who its members really are and what the access criteria are at that level? You are far away from this hierarchy position, and moreover, you will never be able to be a part of this group for reasons which, if I told you about, would leave you utterly mystified. They are not part of this world. The proposal I've made concerns your becoming a member of one of the highest Masonic lodges in the world, directly subordinate to the Bilderberg Group. Our organization could use your special contribution. The fact that I myself have come here to have this private talk with you will make you understand we appreciate you a lot. I am here to have this talk with you, Mr. Brad, in a less than usual way and under special circumstances. In our view, people belong to one of two categories: those who can be manipulated and led around, and the great majority belong to this category. And those who have certain virtues, are gifted with certain powers, and have very strong personality. This is a secret council at the level of this lodge that makes proposals for the main lines for action in the world which the Bilderberg Group then access. Well, my dear, there are lots of ways to get influence, and this is an area we master to perfection. The main quality it takes is patience, but fought with all their might to strengthen and reinforce Masonic foundations by adopting its guidelines to the course of human evolution. I can't foreclose much about these architects who devised the entire plan as long as several thousand years ago, because that is a terrible secret of which not even all the members of the Bilderberg Group are aware. The venerable masters have done nothing but apply in an intellectual manner the basic principles that had already been established and adopted to the structure of their times. At the top of our hierarchy, there are only people of royal descent whose lineage one can trace back in geological trees. We pay great attention to this issue so as not to get mixed up with other races. Gradually, we have succeeded in eliminating recessive genes. They noticed, for instance, that the community life, whether it is grounded in monarchies, republics, or any other type of governance, is based on leadership. This reality involves two so-called groups. On the one hand, the masses, or the rabble, that is the majority of people, and on the other hand, the elite, who one way or another strive to shepherd the herd. This simple observation was the foundation on which they built their entire plan. There have always been conflicting interests between the two groups. The situation had to be made to work out so that those conflicting interests could never disappear. Never be genuine peace among people. In order for this to be the case, it was necessary to pander to both groups by various methods without their knowledge of the scheme. They needed some strong levers, and at the origins of these actions lay only two: money and man's inferior nature that makes him give into temptations of all kinds. The foundations of our Masonic organization were laid a long time ago. This is quite simple, my dear. Power was and will always be the reason we do what we do. But in order to have more money, one must produce, and in order to produce, one must work. These are the terms of our equation. People ended up working themselves to exhaustion for us. The real wealth and bulk of the money are in our possession. Those who turn down our offer can't hold out on their own for too long. If one way or another they become a threat, we join forces to force them into bankruptcy. Usually, when they are just about to collapse and feel lost beyond retrieve, the tactics are to give them a second chance, take the offer they initially turned down. And then, of course, their personal businesses make a spectacular comeback. We always stand to gain, whether it be an influential politician to further our interests, which is the most frequent and easiest case to fabricate. It is therefore our interest to create as many such vicious circles as possible, and it is on this foundation that we have built modern society, the so-called cell of society, that is, the family, which we have chained into an infinite set of dependencies, job, homes, comforts, cars, bank loans, and long-term and contractual obligations that sometimes extend over 1 or 2 generations of the respective family. The role of the vicious circle is to make people dependent. When this happens, they are no longer free. Dependence automatically triggers a sort of enslavement or limitation, and we need people to be as limited and mechanical as possible. If job requirements are simple, the job holder will soon become a submissive and obedient machine. We do not want people to think too much. Thinking can become dangerous and spawn ideas that run counter to our goals. We have sought to extend our control over larger and larger numbers of people. Television sets, telephones, and computers. Apart from creating addiction to these technological means, it has also given us control over the spread of information. Controlling media institutions and tools, we implicitly control content and quality of information. We acted like a gray eminence in support of the spread of drugs, synthetic drugs in particular, fully aware that these drugs, together with tobacco, alcohol, and coffee, can destroy the human body. We have deliberately staged a so-called no campaign that has only increased the demand for such substances. We have created huge tobacco, fine beverage, and coffee concerns. Almost all of the presidents and owners of these business giants are venerable members of the highest-ranking lodges of our organization. The more dispersed and confused the crowd is, the easier it is to maneuver. One of our primary goals has been to put an end to the population growth. We had to decrease world population numbers dramatically. We needed methods that could kill large numbers of people in a very short time. We have financed top-secret research projects for the production of deadly viruses. Some experiments have failed, but others have yielded results. Our basic hidden source of manipulation is the constitution of a state. The making of a constitution is a real science of human psychology and manipulation, which is why we have been careful to have our representatives involved in the process. Conflicts, revolutions, and wars in various areas of the globe have perhaps been the most widespread method that we have created and indirectly supported. Armed conflicts have always been a real and huge source of income to us, as well as subtle means of power wielding across the world. We capitalize on economic or social difficulty. Owing to our banking influence, we can operate secretly at the top level of power in the respective country. We never get involved in one direction, as the result can be uncertain. But by enticing both camps to take action, we stand to gain no matter how the conflict might end. Almost all the big international bodies, whether they are political or military, are of Masonic origin. UN and NATO, to name only 2 of our most influential tools. Freemasonry has always been a cult. This spell that we continue to weave so carefully has served us well over time, given the circumstances. Imagine anyone going out in the world and spreading the information I have just given you, who would believe or listen to that person. We are aware there are already many people, intellectuals in particular, who know at least part of the truth about us, and to whom we can no longer lie. But by comparison to the rest of the population, who have been dumbed down by the social system we ourselves have created, and particularly by the information system we control almost completely, these people are not really a minority. If some people are aware of our real intentions, they will take a passive stance, thinking they are powerless, listless, and deprived of any possibility to act freely. If eventually someone attempts to attack us or tries to reveal the real nature of our actions, we can resort to a wide range of methods. Reactions are attentively conceived and rely on thorough understanding of human psychology. This is almost always initiated by launching false or evil information about that person. And suppose the information is released through a number of nationally distributed newspapers. The readers come across a suspected false piece of information which has negative consequences. The harm is done, whatever flat denial it would trigger on behalf of the accused party. We do know that evil suggestions destroy the harmonious energy structures of the aura and bring about a subtle form of stress at a psychic level. These perfectly serve our intentions as they exhaust people, diffuse their attention, weaken their alert mind, and blur the farsightedness of their spirit. We therefore subsidize and promote works centered around childish and fanciful subjects. The economical and social system we have imposed strongly encourages rivalry in its dissident forms, unlawful competition, and overconsumption of products. In fact, the senseless quiet and obsession of the people, which permanently keeps them busy and under content and under constant pressure, leads to significant decline of genuine moral and ethical values. We have also encouraged the proliferation of anomalous forms of sexuality and pornography that eventually reach unbelievable levels. We did this as a result of our observation that both man's strength and virility and woman's sensibility and intuition quickly diminish when subjected to evil practices. Modern society is a perfect fit to this design, given the huge technological progress we have followed. We offer more and more temptations, and the people easily fall victim to indiscriminate and various sense gratifications and stimuli. We are perfectly aware their willpower will soon be exhausted, and without rusiness, humans are like stupid animals in their way to the slaughterhouse. We place a special emphasis on the young people because the seeds of life can be easily killed in the feeble. Under an appalling and attractive mask, we infuse the young generation with all elements that do fuel and swell vicious tendencies. We encourage broadcasting of movies displaying violence and horror movies where the characters exhibit sadistic and evil features. To do this, we rely on advertising. It is not easy to become rich, and in the present economic and legal environment we have imposed, it is even impossible if one resorts to honest methods. That is why almost the entire group of rich people is vicious and perverted. This triggers mutual obligations, particularly by blackmail. Those that resist, there are too few left. It's not worth paying them any attention. We correctly foresaw that greedy and unscrupulous behavior of people exposed to various fears and hardships. Such people are like thirsty wanderers in the middle of the Sahara who desperately drink at the oasis without caring at all about their nakedness nor the opinion of other people. After the revolution in your country, we did nothing else but to encourage the economical disaster, particularly corruption, and the Romanian people's temptation for the taste of money after such a long period of various hardships and restrictions, and subject to long-lasting suffering, It was highly probable that Romanians would easily fall victim to the surge of temptations. You should not worry, as this is what we do in almost all countries. Government